Good evening, Fasters. Puppeteer here. Got micro tutorial number 10 underway. This is going to be a little bit of a longer one. It's going to be quite complicated. The request that we've had from a subscriber on the forum was to use sliders to switch between layers to select filter types or oscillators. We're going to go one better. We're going to use sliders to switch between for both filter types and oscillators. This is going to use some quite advanced Cascade mode modeling. But we're going to end up with 5 layers in this. So layer 1 is going to be a sawtooth, layer 2 is going to be a square wave, layer 3 is going to be doing the mixing between the oscillators. Then we're going to have the 2 filters, and we're then going to crossfade those layers using the crossfade parameter on the output page. Okay, strap in. We're going to try and get through this real quick. Okay, go to 999 default program, press your edit button. What we need to do is that we need to set the amount, or the amp envelope first of all. Turn it off natural, turn it to user so that we're not using the piano envelope on this. Next thing we need to do is go to algorithm. We're going to go to algorithm number 5 so that we can get the we're going to use a super saw in this case, so we can hear the super saw. Next thing that we need to do is that we need to go to the amp page, or the DSP control. We need to turn this right down. So in a Cascade mode, this level controls how much of this layer goes to the outputs. We don't want this oscillator going to the outputs, we want this oscillator going to the filters, which is on another layer. So we turn this down, because the taps to the next layer come before where this level is. Okay, that's all we need to do on the first layer. What we will also do, that's fine. So for the modulation, we're going to use slider A, which is a data slider, to fade between the oscillators, and fader B to fade between the filters. Okay, next thing we need to do, let's duplicate this layer, which is nice and easy. And what we need to do on this layer, so the amp envelope and the output, I'm going to turn this output up temporarily so that we can hear it. And what we're going to go and do is go to the algorithm page, and we're going to change this to algorithm 8, and we're going to set this to pulse width modulation. Don't need anything on this last block, you can use it if you want. Okay, now what we need to do is set this to 108 because we need a Cascade layer. So the difference between the 100 series and the 0 series algorithms is that 100 series are the Cascade ones, and they have this extra bar up the top, which means this is the alternative input from a different layer. What we're going to do is we need to set this from layer 1, and what we need to do is go in and edit this algorithm. So press edit, and the first thing we need to do is change this output mode to separate left and right, so we've got these 2 outputs here. One of the things you need to remember with Cascade mode is that you can only ever feed a layer from one other layer. You can't feed it from 2 layers. There's a special algorithm number 131, which allows you to combine 2 wires, but both of those wires must appear on the output from the same layer, and that's why we're setting these separate left right. Okay, so what I do when I'm editing these, I try to keep the top layer on top and the bottom layer on the bottom where possible. Sometimes it's not possible, but in this case it is. So what we're doing here is we're just going to send whatever comes out of layer 1, we want it to come out this top wire, so it bypasses all the DSP. We're going to set this other wire to come out from the end of the chain. You can take it from the middle, but it doesn't make any difference, but we're just going to take it from the end. And we're going to set this first one here to be fed from the center pin, which is this layer. So the key strokes on this, so now we'll be able to hear the square wave. And you can also hear the saw wave from the bottom. So if we went to this for a second, and we attach that, that's just a square. That's a square and the sawtooth together. They're coming out of here. Let's save that algorithm. You can't name it, but we can save it to a new number. Okay, now what we need to do is that we will go back to we just need to turn the output down again. DSP control -96. Again, we don't want output out of this layer. We want to use this layer to feed into the mixer or into the crossfade. And that's what we're going to do now. So what we can do again, we can duplicate the layer. Okay, that keeps in place all the envelope and everything, all the hard work that we've done on the layers before. And let's take this up to -6 so we can hear what we're doing, and go back across the algorithm, and we need to change this to 131. Okay, we need to feed this from layer 2. Now what layer 2's got, I don't remember, it had 2 separate outputs. So the top one was the bypass from layer 1. So the top one here has got the sawtooth on it, the bottom one has got the square wave from layer 2. And we're going to change this block to crossfade. There's a bunch of different ones. You've got mix, mix minus, which inverts the second input, and plus gain, and then you've got cross gain, which is like a cross modulation. But we're going to use crossfade. It's a nice, simple way to fade between the top wire and the bottom wire. So let's just go into this, and we're going to leave it at 0, and we're going to assign this on the DSP mod page to slider A, which is data, and we're going to set this to 100%. Okay, so now the only output coming out is from this layer, because we've turned layer 1 and 2 down. So we should be able to hear, and I'll sweep between the 2 different sounds using slider A. Hopefully you can hear that. I just want to make sure there's... Okay, we've got lots of pad on here. You can see it's got the pad parameters here. So let's just get rid of some of these. Okay, you can hear that nice and clearly. And so now what we need to do is take this down to -96. Okay, we could do a similar sort of thing with the filters, but it is quite complicated. You need quite a number of layers to do it effectively. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to take advantage of the crossfade in the output to modulate between 2 filters. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to send layer 3, which is the output of this layer, to layers 4 and 5. So we're going to have one layer feeding 2 layers, and one of those layers is going to have a high pass, the other is going to have a low pass. I'm not going to modulate the cutoff frequencies or anything like that. I will set them so that you can hear the effect of it, and you guys can go off and modulate them to your heart's content. Okay, so again, let's duplicate layer, because we've already got the envelope set up and everything. So let's duplicate it, and we'll go to the algorithm. What we want to do is go to algorithm 105 in this case, and we want to set this alt input to layer 3. So layer 3 is, so if we just go back to layer 3, this is crossfade block. You can put something in here, but unfortunately, I mean, most of the blocks for here, 3 blocks, aren't all that exciting. There's an all-pass filter, which is pretty cool if you want to make phases and stuff. But and the parametric EQ is useful, but unfortunately, there's no low-pass or high-pass filter. That'd be really awesome if there was. So anyway, what we want to do is go to layer 4, and we want to feed it from layer 3, which is where we've chosen our oscillator. And on this one, we'll put the low pass filter. And again, let's just temporarily turn up this. Again, I think we've got some pad on here, so let's just. And we're just going to take this the low pass frequency down so we can hear the effect. Okay, so you can hear the effect there of the low pass filter on both of those oscillators. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to again set this level to -96, and we're going to duplicate this layer. Okay, and we're going to set this algorithm to the high pass filter, which is just changing that. Again, it's fed from layer 3, and we're going to go to DSP control, and we'll let's turn this one up so we can hear it. Okay, so we've set the high pass filter on that layer, and we've got the one below. Alright, so what we want to do now is on layer 4, we're going to use, on the output page, we're going to use the crossfade parameter. So we're going to turn that to, we want to turn it to, sorry, just hold down enter and press and slider B, so it's MIDI 13. So we're going to use this in normal, and on layer 5 we're going to use the same controller, but we're going to set this to reverse. So now, sorry, I've got to go down to layer 4. I need to set the output of this layer to 0. Okay, so what we're doing is we're using MIDI 13, so we've got high pass at the top, low pass at the bottom, high pass at the top, low pass at the bottom, and the other slider goes between the oscillators. So it's as simple as that. So we might need to just adjust the levels just to fine tune it. But that's essentially the program. I'm going to save that now. So let's, if you press the plus or minus button, it jumps. Let's just go. Let's just call this oscillator filter. OSC FILT, and let's call it Morph. Okay, let's. It automatically selects the next one, so let's just save it there. And there's our program. So I hope you got something out of that. It's gone on for a little bit longer than I was hoping. This has been 13 minutes. I like to try and keep these under 10, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. It's quite a complex program, guys. Tune in, and yeah, thanks very much for being subscribers. We won't be sharing this with the general public at this stage. It'll just be for subscribers. So thank you very much for subscribing. If you've got any more ideas, any more mini tutorials you'd like to see, please put them up in the forum, and I'll do my best. Thanks, guys, and I will see you next time.